California love. Ba-na-na-na-na-na-na. 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 Woo! Oh, yeah, I love putting the mask on because that means the Buffalo Sabres won a hockey game. Oh, California love. These Sabres sweep the West Coast trip, come away with 6 points. Many of us thought they might not come away with 4. Me and Hurls were definitely skeptical, but, after they did win that first one, and then obviously the second one, when they beat both LA and Anaheim, definitely high hopes. Back-to-backs are always tough, but, another gutsy win. The Buffalo Sabres persevered, down going. How many times has this happened already this season? Down going into the third period, and you find a way to gut out a win. I said it during the intermission report. You guys, they needed to start getting pucks in net, get bodies in net. That Cousins goal was a perfect example. Great setup between Dahlin, Byram, and him, and just throws a cannon at the net. Benson right there, screening Blackwood, and it ends up in the back of the net. And then Tuck, who, after the whistle already mentioned it, but I was in a group text talking about it as well. Like, Alex Tuck could be getting some Selke votes this season. That's his third shorthanded goal this season. Just a phenomenal penalty killer, earning every bit of every cent he makes this season. Just being a really a big lead by example guy on the ice. He's out there blocking shots. Getting in shot lanes, getting in passing lanes, creating chances. And he's doing this all without Tage Thompson, who, let's be real, like him and Tage are really attached to the hip when it comes to like each other's success. They're always on a line. They always have been since Tage has taken off, always have been on a line together since Tuck has gotten here. So for him to be playing this well without Tage in the lineup really speaks volumes. I want to talk about Kulich at center and how great he's done on faceoffs. Cousins too, Krebs too. All of them have been phenomenal in the faceoff circle. And I want to say Kulich has helped Quinn. These are probably two of the best games we've seen Jack Quinn play this season. He looks like he's playing with more confidence, that he believes in himself. He's shooting the puck. Yeah, he's missing the net, missing up, but he's shooting. He's showing confidence in himself. And I think as long as that keeps happening and eventually Quinn finds the back of the net, I think Kulich is still going to be riding. They're going to be riding shotgun together. He's going to be centering Quinn and whomever else is on that line with them. I've liked the way Quinn has played the past 2 games with Kulich as his centerman. James Reimer, absolutely fantastic tonight. Coming in just after picked up waivers less than a week ago. Coming in really cold. I'm sure he got in a couple good practices or morning skates. But other than that, he's probably coming pretty cold. He's only played like 3 games before this season. I think it was 2 or 3, and didn't have a great goals against. It was over a 4.0, but comes in, plays a really calm and poised game, not giving up many rebounds, made possibly the save of the year on Celebrini. Macklin Celebrini couldn't believe it. Guy's makes the side-to-side save. He kind of does what like Vasilevsky has done a couple times, where we move side to side, and how Vasquez like throwing his glove behind his net in the past, or behind his back in the past, and caught the puck behind his back. But like Reimer moved side to side, made the save, and he was almost doing like a half a somersault, and he saw it, and he backhand catches it like that, and snares it. And I'm like, nobody can believe it. That puck was in the net if he doesn't do that. It's carrying it on backwards in the net, probably hitting off his back and going across the goal line. Phenomenal save there from James Reimer. And he made some big saves there, especially when the Sabres were killing on that 5-man advantage, 2-man advantage. Just fantastic. Great game. This is probably the best we've seen Owen Power, at least during this West Coast trip, just in terms of complete games. I know, again, we get on his case a lot, me included, but this is the best we've seen him play. I mean, obviously, we'd still like to see some physical snarl those game. But there was a play. I mean, San Jose scored on the following shift. Well, Power wasn't on the ice, but it was a perfect example of what I've been talking about when I hear me say, like, I don't need to be Chris Prong or Scott. Like, there was a play along the boards, it was a puck battle, and all Owen Power did was he squeezed him out, just leaned against him on the boards because he's so much bigger than him, and it was a turnover up the ice the other way. It's just like those are the little things we want from Owen Power. Nobody needs him to go out there and throw some bone crunching hit. You just don't need. I don't need that. But stuff like that, more of that. Give me that in front of the net when you're standing shoulder to shoulder to somebody. Be aware that he's there and just know that, hey, I'm like 5 inches bigger than you. Let me just lift your stick and lean into you and push you out of the way so my goalie can see the shot. Like those are the things we need more from Owen Power. And that's, again, I've never given up on Owen Power. I think he's still, I watched him a lot in Michigan. We had him on this show before the Sabres drafted him. I have a lot of faith in Owen Power. Do I think he's soft? Yeah, I do. But this guy has been this size now for how many years? As big as he is, going back to probably 18, 19 years old. He still has growing to do. He's only 22 years old. Hopefully he can learn to play that kind of hockey, and you don't have to lose that offensive upside you get with him, that high ceiling of offense that you get with him. But yeah, there's still there's a lot of meat left on that bone, but I think we're going to get it. And I said it before, like Victor Hedman took like 5 years to become the defenseman that he ended up becoming. Like Owen Power is in his 3rd season. So again, I'm not too worried about it. I saw some flashes of what I've been asking for tonight even. And hopefully, again, sometimes those things can't be taught. They're just instinctive. They're a part of your DNA. Hopefully Owen just continues to go out there and realize, yeah, I'm 6'6", maybe 6'7" on skates. I'm like the biggest guy out here. I'm just going to outmuscle you every time you come near me. That's all I want. That's all fans want. I mean, I know the narrative is that he's soft, and he does play pretty soft at times, but this 3-game stretch is the best I think we've seen from him this season and in a while. And I'm very happy with the way Owen Power has been playing. Couldn't be more excited. We're gonna hit the peanut gallery here because a lot of you are in the comments. Right off the bat, from Mauricio, sweep team playing with character, resilience, confidence. Cousins could have scored a hat trick tonight. Breakaway needs to shoot early. Quinn and Bryson turned the puck over all night. Quinn drop passes. I wasn't that upset with Quinn's game. The Bryson giveaway behind the net to the front of the net, yeah, that was not good. He had a time to make a play there. He was the first one on the puck. He just kind of tried to lock it in against the boards, end up turning it over. Sweep from James Miller. Thanks for joining the show. I think you're a new follower. I appreciate you popping in. From Cody, this sweep is what we needed, but the 9-game win streak was real. What 9-game win streak? Are you talking? I'm not sure. All night defenseman, active in offensive zone, advance came along with puck. Darlene, too many missed shots from point, too many human errors, penalties, and force. Yeah, I mean, I tweeted it out too. You got to play more discipline at the end of hockey games. That was a stupid penalty from Darlene and the too many bend penalty. Like you can't have that happen in a 1-goal game. You have to play more discipline there, and you probably expect more from your captain. But he made up for it there at the end of the game with a little ping pong wizard action, banking the puck off the boards into the empty net for a goal. At the end of the day, we got this game in the garage and got a win, a gutsy win. The loss to Montreal and Flyers were so sad. Yeah, those hurt us. But we're 3rd in the Atlantic. We're 3rd. Did anyone think that by Thanksgiving this team would be in a playoff spot? I mean, I'll be lying if I said I did. I mean, I was less optimistic coming into this season than I was last season. I was really optimistic last season. I felt like they didn't do enough in the offseason to make this team a playoff team. I'll eat crow there. I'll eat crow. As of right now, we will eat crow. I still think that as great it is to gut out these wins, especially without Tage Thompson, if this game was being played against a more top-tier team, like a Ranger, even though we've beaten the Rangers this season, but a more top-tier team, the result might not be the same. You are playing a bad San Jose team. You played a bad Anaheim team. LA, I'm not going to say they're a great team, but they're definitely an above-average good team. So with that being said, like we need to get Tage back, and I still wouldn't mind seeing an addition to the top 6. Hopefully Kevin doesn't look at this road trip, this West Coast trip at face value and is like, I think we're fine. No, don't make that mistake again. If there's a deal to be made and it makes sense, it makes this team better in the present and the future, you go do it. You do it. Hate to say it, man. I've given Power shit, but he looks good. Yeah, he does. He did. M. Fisher, another new listener. Thank you for tuning in. How much do you think playoff tickets are going to cost? Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Please, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Cody, 11-9-1. That is a playoff record right now. Stop the count. Sweep. We played well back-to-back games. Goaltending impressive. Reimer stood tall. Number 1 star. Yeah, Reimer was fantastic. I'd fly all the way from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada for a Sabres playoff game. I'll be right there with you, bud. I'll be right there with you. 7-2 in their last 9 games. Again, playing one of the better teams in the NHL. Third in their division right now. Yep, from Iron. The Sabres being above 500 at this time of year, I think is a very, very good sign. Yeah, Sabres are rolling. Bills are rolling. How can you not be happy right now? Saw Hurl's tweets. He was having fun at the Ducks game, polishing beer after beer. I'm sure he's hungover. He couldn't make tonight, and I'm not gonna give him any slack. He was golfing. Too busy to come talk about a Sabres win with us because he's too busy golfing. Sorry, Hurls. 3 points away from first place in division. Division is wide open. Gutsy fucking win, boys. Yeah, I think that's one thing you can say about this hockey team is they are just gutsy, man. Gutsy. This is not the first time they've gone into a third period down a goal and still come out with a win. And to do it in regulation is fantastic. Again, back-to-back games are never easy. They aren't. And you had a slow start. You were getting outshot 9-1 to start the game. You go down 2-0. Was it? Yeah. No, sorry. You go down 1-0. You tie it 1-1 with a fantastic shot from Peyton Krebs. Then you go down 2-1. And then Cousins comes in and unloads an absolute cannon to the back of the net. And Alex Tuck with a shorty. Again, should be getting some Selke votes this season, I think, to help seal the deal. Game-winning goal to him, to Alex Tuck. And Rasmus Dahlin with the empty net goal, a little stat patter, sorry. And now we have Minnesota coming up. Bring on Minnesota, lads. Yep, back at home. Finally back in our barn after a 3-0 West Coast trip. This is the third time in a row they've won 3 games in a row. They didn't do that once last year. They didn't win 3 in a row twice last year, let alone 3 times. They only did it once, and it took them until damn near the end of the season to win 3 in a row once. So this team is just – they're gutting out wins. They're playing as a team. This is Lindy Ruff hockey, boys and girls, and I love every second of it. I've said it from start of the offseason, no matter how well these additions went, no matter how you felt them, the biggest addition this team was made was behind the bench in Lindy Ruff. The accountability is going to be there. The discipline is going to be there. The structure is going to be there. How can you debate it? Lindy Ruff has been the best addition to this team. He's given this team something behind the bench that they haven't had, honestly, since the last time he was here. Man, can you imagine if they had never fired him? The longest tenured coach for one team in NHL history, probably at this point. But yeah, happy to see this for Lindy, for this team, for us, the fans. It's been a breath of fresh air because how often in the past 13 years were we at Thanksgiving, we're like, oh God, can the season end now? Multiple times. So this has been a lot of fun. And going into Thanksgiving, if you celebrate around the dinner table, you have something to talk about other than the Buffalo Bills right now. You can talk about how great the Sabres have looked. Again, hopefully they continue that coming into Thanksgiving. I think their next game is on Wednesday. They have a few days break. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Wednesday against Minnesota, back at home. And then obviously Thursday you have Thanksgiving. I bet you Lindy is going to let the guys unwind tonight in California. A big night is probably ahead of them. I must say I'm probably pretty jealous. They're going to hit up where are they? They're in San Jose, wherever the spot is. I know Craig Rivet is out there. I'm sure he'll be out there, as he would say, drinking some wobbly pops tonight with the boys, celebrating a big win. This is just awesome. This is awesome. It's cool to come on this show and not have to sit and bitch and complain and just point out and just be negative, because this team has given us nothing but reasons to be negative for such a long time. I got into a guy on Twitter today, like telling me that, like, oh, you got all this following from a radio call. Listen, guys, I have been tweeting the same since the day I got onto that app. Just because I called into a radio station and gained a following, 7,000 followers, big whoop. Didn't change the way I felt about this team and didn't change the way that I react and I criticize this team. I've always been this person. Maybe the volume is just turned up a little bit, but I've always been this person. But at the end of the day, like, fans have had a right up until this point to speak the way they have about this hockey team. And again, it's just nice to come on here and not have to be like that and not have to feel like that. It's awesome. It is awesome. And anybody who does this for a living, I don't do this for a living. I have a full-time job, but anybody who does this for a living, like I said it to those guys on GR back when the Bills, after they broke the playoff drought and Allen started to turn things on. I remember I calling in after they won the division for the first time. And I said, I give you guys a ton of credit. Whether your takes are outrageous or not, or whatever it is, you guys have to come on this show, whether the team is a dumpster fire or not, 17-year playoff drought with the Bills, right now a 13-year playoff with the Sabres, and you have to talk about it. Like, that's your job. Like, us as fans, sometimes we can sit here and not talk about it and just ignore it, not turn on the radio, stay off social media the day after a loss, and just ignore it. They have to talk about it, and that has to be depressing, especially when you live in the city of Buffalo sometimes. So it's so cool to finally sit here and going into Thanksgiving, going into time with friends and family, and have two good teams to talk about, two currently in playoff position teams to talk about. We're sitting here talking about in the chat. You guys are talking about, being first in the division. Again, in a wide open division, nobody's running away with anything. More from the peanut gallery, Real Deal Prime. Cousins is heating up. Thanks for tuning in, bud. You might be another new listener. If you are, again, thanks for tuning in. I'll be at the Islanders game on Saturday. Yeah, maybe I'll show up, hopefully. My buddy Mike, I know he always has tickets. I'll have to see if he's looking for somebody to go with. Minnesota will be out. Kirill Kripasov, he's out 3 weeks, taking Brock Faber's slap shot to the nuts. Oh, as a goalie, I know how that feels, man. Ooh, good amount of time to get East time adjusted. Finally, it's usually 1 day. Yep, agreed. It's normally, again, an adjustment. It's a 3-hour difference. The guys can get home after they go out and have a good time tonight. Get home for a few days, unwind, probably get a day off from Lindy, get right back into it. They deserve it. They deserve every bit of it. From Metallica, Stallica says, let's go Buffalo. I'll try to attend. Hopefully, try to attend as many games as you can. Sharks broadcast mentioned Anaheim victory down 2 goals. Last Sabres win down 2 goals was 3 years ago. Unbelievable. Quick thought on Quinn. Like, what the fuck, man? I talked about Quinn a little bit earlier. I think these last 2 games have been his best of the season. With Kulik as his center. I think you keep that up. You keep them 2 together. And I think the shots are eventually going to start going in. I think this is the most confident Jack Quinn has looked all season. And that's been a big thing. I think, an Achilles injury is not an easy thing to come back from. It's definitely taken him a while to come back. Not that I'm saying he is back, but he definitely looks like he's playing with much more confidence, shooting the puck more, getting into shot lanes, and, playing with a little more swagger. From Busby, we need a top 6 right-handed defenseman to pair with Power. I do agree that we could use a top 4 defenseman for sure. But right now I'd much rather take another top 6 forward because you can't always count on Tage Thompson. He's gonna get hurt just like he's just was his 5th game in a row. And you can't count on these types of results against the much better teams in the National Hockey League. It's not, you didn't play an outstanding top tier team. You didn't play Toronto tonight. You didn't play the Rangers tonight. You didn't play whatever teams are leading their divisions in the West. You played San Jose tonight. A team that's in a big rebuild, and just got done drafting first overall with Macklin Celebrini. So I said it. I was, in a text conversation actually today with Andrew Peters. I said, these are the games you got to win, the ones that you're supposed to win, because it helps make up for some of those games that you would be expected to lose later in the season. And that's the thing with this team, in the past, like you tend to play down to competition sometimes. They've done it. Not on this trip, but we've seen it in the past where you play down to competition as much as sometimes they'll play up to a team's competition. They'll beat the better teams. So getting these wins against these teams is hella important. And securing these points, even in November, it's going to pay dividends later in the season when you get into the tougher parts of your schedule, when you are playing the tougher teams in your division, your Tampa Bays, Boston's struggling this season, but that's still always going to be a tough game. They're a tough team to play against. I imagine Jeremy Swayman will find his game and really turn it on here at some point. They're tougher teams in the West, like your Dallas Stars, and other teams. I know we've beaten them this season, but here's the thing, like as I just said, you've played up to that competition. So winning these games becomes that much more important 2-3 months down the line, because you might end up losing some of those games against those better teams. So winning the games you're supposed to win helps make up for those points you might not get, later on, in February or March. So big, huge win and a gutsy win tonight. Bryson a -2. This team needs 2 new D-men. Yeah, I didn't like Bryson's game tonight at all. There have been parts of his game that I've liked since he's been brought up. Parts of the games I haven't liked. Definitely didn't like him tonight. Benson plays tougher than us. Yeah, little Carney is awesome. He's our Carney. He's our little Marchand. And, the sky is the limit for him. I can't wait to really, when he truly finds his scoring touch, and that guy just absolutely takes off. Dahlin got cross-checking penalty. A minute later, Sharks did exactly the same no-call home cooking. Yeah, I mean, I thought Dahlin's cross-check was a little bit more brutal, but regardless if they got away with something like that or not, you have to be more disciplined at the end of a game, especially when you're protecting the lead. With that being said, here the peanut gallery here some more. Did Kulich play after he looked hurt? He stayed on bench. Yeah, he was out there at the end of the third period when they had that power play. The end of that power play, he was out there. So that was a nice, and it shows the confidence that Lindy has in him. He didn't have to have Yuri Kulich out there who was lingering, but he has confidence in his ability to win faceoffs, and that shows a lot of trust, especially in a young player, especially with a coach like Lindy Ruff, who, we've seen him bench guys like Roy and Max and Vanek in the past without hesitation. So for him to show that type of confidence in a guy like Kulich in his rookie year, in his second call-up, that speaks volumes about the player. Another new listener from Jeff Hasley. Huge win, especially with several teams in the Atlantic losing tonight. Now it's time to take care of business at home versus many, hopefully with Tage. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how serious this injury is. I mean, it was reported kind of originally it wasn't that serious, but now he's missed his 5th game in a row. And again, who knows? These games might have been out of reach had we had Tage. You know what I mean? Like, again, they found ways to gut out wins, but we're going to get into a tougher part of the schedule here soon. And you need Tage back at 100%, at 85% to make up for these close games. Help maybe, earlier in the season when we were, scoring more, like 3, 4, 5 goals a game. That's because of Tage and his ability to help drive that first line and spread out the depth. So I can't. Hopefully, he is back and ready to go on Wednesday. He has been skating. Peters and Riv been riding OP. They got to change their tune now. I mean, they will. I mean, I know Riv will. I mean, he was there tonight watching it. Like, this is the best he's probably played all season, and we're sure. The numbers don't lie offensively, but people don't realize it has nothing to do with his play offensively. Like, he's been great offensively. It's just the lack of a physical presence defensively in certain areas of the defensive zone that drive people like me nuts. But he's been better. He's been a lot better. I gave an example earlier of him just squeezing a guy out, not necessarily hitting somebody, but just enforcing his will because he's bigger than everybody else. And that's all I ask for. Like, I don't need, an Owen Power Kruba collision hit every other game. But stuff like that, which should just come naturally to him because of his size, that's what I want to see more of. Swayman can't carry a team like the Bruins by himself. They've looked terrible. Yeah, the Bruins have not looked good. My friend Lauren there on Twitter, she is probably losing her mind with that team this year. But again, I think that, they fired Jim Montgomery. I think they've made some very questionable moves over the past couple of years trying to ride with get as much as they could out of guys like Marchand, kind of like as they're reaching the twilight of their career. I think that they shouldn't have been selling off as much youth as they had in the past couple of years. Some of the signings they made kind of like head scratching. But that is still Boston. It's always a tough building to go into. It's a tough team to play against. You know what you're getting when you play the Boston Bruins. So again, I fully expect them to eventually turn things around. And when we do play Boston, that'll be a tough game. But seeing this team play the way they've been playing, I can't wait to play the Maple Leafs, baby. I cannot wait. From Real Deal Prime, who would you like to see as an added top 6 veteran to this playoff run group? Veterans. I mean, I've thrown a few names out there. You see teams that are kind of rebuilding. Teams like Nashville. Ryan O'Reilly's name's been thrown around out there. I'd love Ryan O'Reilly back. I don't care. Bring him back. That guy, he's got a Conn Smythe. He's won a cup. I can't imagine with this team he'd lose his love for the game, not under Lindy. Blake Coleman would be a fun player to go grab from Calgary. And there's a few other names out there too. Just I can't think off the top of my head who. I mentioned Trevor Zegras a couple days ago as a player. I could totally see them making a deal for because, again, he'll be an RFA, no trade protection. So he won't really have much of a say in it. He's on a very reasonable contract and he's struggling, needs a change of scenery. But, I mean, in terms of veteran player, those two just off the top of my head. And there's more guys out there too, I'm sure. So, but yeah, I agree. Like a top 6 guy with some length in his tooth or whatever that saying is, would love to see, a proven veteran winger, top 6 player to come help this team in this playoff run. You know what I mean? So from my boy Jake, swing by the gym tomorrow and celebrate our third 3-game win streak tomorrow, bro. What time you'll be there? I'll be there, bud. I'll be pumping iron. Cousins score, baby, score. 8 shots tonight. Yeah, he's playing with tons of confidence. He's playing with tons of swagger. I've loved everything about Dylan Cousins' game over the last 2 weeks. He is playing with a ton of confidence and looking a lot like the Dylan Cousins that earned, some may debate, earned that big contract last offseason. So, actually, that's what Granlund, we played him tonight, would be a sneaky good player to add from the Sharks. Only makes $5 million. Gritty like Benson, has 24 points so far. I was trying to think of that name too, because me and Connor talked about it. Mikael Granlund. Again, he plays for the Sharks. Very, very, very elite shot. Good finishing ability. Can pass very well. Granlund would be a great addition for sure. And there's some rebuilding teams out there that might be looking to shed some players that are making too much cap, trying to get picks. We have plenty of talent in the pipeline. 5 former first overall picks currently not in Buffalo. I believe it's 5. Actually, no, Rosen was in the lineup tonight. But normally he wouldn't be. So you would say Rosen, Ryan Johnson, Noah Ostlund, and then I'm sorry, probably 4. Then you have the kid that Consta Hellenius. So 4 former first-round picks. And there's some guys, second, third-round picks that have been performing very well in Rochester and in junior. So do you think Gilbert will be in versus the Wild for Bryson? I mean, you've seen Lindy not hesitate to go to Denny Gilbert. So he likes the style of defense he plays. I don't think Bryson has been very good the past couple of games. So I could totally see that. I think Yoki Haru looked fine after he was in Lindy's doghouse for a few games. So he responded well to that. And Yeah, I could totally see Denny Gilbert getting a game or two for sure, and letting Bryson sit from the press box and watch. Kadri and Erasmus from the Flames trade the entire farm system. Here's the thing about Kadri. I like him. I think he's got 2 good years left in him, 2 like elite years left in him. But that contract is a tough pill to swallow. Calgary would have to eat half that contract, in my opinion, in order for me to want to make that deal. That I think he's signed until he's like 38 years old, 39 years old, something like that. So they would have to eat some of that contract, at least half of it, for me to want to make that deal. But Rasmus Anderson would be a great ad for sure. I would, that would fix a lot of your top 4 defensive problems. With that being said, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this West Coast trip, the Sabres After Dark, as much as I have. I will admit that first game against LA, I was dealing with a lot of sleep deprivation and did not watch a moment of that 1-0 win, but I watched the recap, and that's like honestly the first game I've missed all season, and it was a 10 p.m. start. So I've enjoyed just having fun with this team over the past week, and I hope they all have a good time. Don't get arrested, don't do anything stupid, don't end up in the paper, but have a good time in Cali tonight, because honestly they earned it. They earned every bit of it. Go party like a 2006 Sabres team like they used to do down on Chippewa. Have a good time tonight. You deserve it. So I'm going to bring up some quotes here from Brian Koziel from the locker room, from the post game. He is always actually, no, he does not have normally Brian has all of the post game comments right after the game. I know they were obviously already in the locker room, so I'm trying to pull them up. There's got to be something here. But nope, not seeing anything, unfortunately. Normally there is some post-game comments here from some of the players in the locker room, but I am not seeing anything, unfortunately. But regardless, I'm sure they all had to say the same things. Fantastic performance from Reimer and UPL on this road trip. They got what they needed from their goaltenders. They gutted out wins. They found scoring from different places, like Krebs tonight. Cousins really starting to find his scoring touch finally. Again, this is the best 2 weeks we've seen from him in over a year. Defensively, they've looked fantastic. And just carry this structure and this brand of hockey into the Wild on Wednesday. And you want to know what? Look at your first 4-game winning streak of the season. You improve to 12-9-1 and continue this climb up in the Atlantic Division and the Eastern Conference. Why not? Why not us? Why not us? I just want to remind you guys, this is brought to you by Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room, with over 300 beers to choose from at 8 different locations. Great trivia, entertainment, music. Go there for a Sabres game, Bills game, Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, whatever it might be. Fatty Beer is the place to go. You see him right there in the corner. Where is he? Right there, the logo in the corner. Check them out. Fatty Beer on Instagram and Twitter, fattybeer.com. And, of course, Buffalo Logo Apparel. I have a bunch of hats and a few shirts from Buffalo Logo. You can't go wrong. You got to buy local. That's the place to go buy local. Make sure you check out the RJ cap, the RJ Letterman cap, the Hasek Letterman cap, my own personal design, the GOAT shirt and hoodie. It's all available there at Buffalo Logo. Go check them out at Buffalo Logo Co. on Insta. I think it's at Buffalo Co. on Instagram and Twitter, buffalogo.com, or you just Google Buffalo Logo. But with that being said, it's getting close to midnight here. Text Reeves and tell him to tell Uyghur to come to Buffalo. I'm sure he's probably already had the conversation. Why not? Mitch Marner will never happen. They will not trade Mitch Marner to the Buffalo Sabres. An in-division trade like that will never, ever, ever happen. Cody from Edmonton, I've watched all the games. Good for you, bro. Good for you. And that's commitment. That is some absolute commitment. And hopefully, like I said, you get to some games this season. That being said, you guys, tonight, enjoy your Saturday night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Warpath, you gotta love it. You got to love it. Shout out Jack O'Connor. Shout out Hurls. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. As always, because there's no Bills tomorrow, but as always, go Sabres.